Welcome to my channel, and today's theme is AI as a toy. So why not use it as one? I'm Evil Twin Skippy, and welcome to my channel on world building and game design. And this time I decided to play around with Keynote just to see if I can get my new little bobblehead going. So I found a use for LLMs. It's kind of niche and dumb, but so are LLMs. Okay, I'm talking trash. Let me explain. I am a software engineer. I have been working in AI since 2008. My work is in expert systems. It's a different branch of AI than ChatGPT and Claude and etc. Those are called LLMs. And I generally despise the LLMs because they're leaky, flaky, unreliable, and why I cannot call what I do AI anymore because nobody will take it seriously. So, what are expert systems? Those are machines that emulate the decision making of humans, or more particularly, a human expert. They're mainly logic chains and procedures with a database on the back end. They were first created in the 1970s. They got really popular in the 1980s, and then somebody invented a really efficient way of doing artificial neural networks, and everybody forgot about them. Well, not everybody forgot about them. I work for a company that has, since 2002, been working on a giant, all singing, all dancing system of systems simulator for, well, the U.S. Navy and now a couple others. I won't get into that. But one of the most important things that we have to model is people. So, in addition to all the rules we have for how the plumbing systems work and the electric systems work, we have to model how the people work. On the right, you can see that they're currently fighting a fire, and you can see all the steps that go into it, all the movements. On the left, they're trying to trace where a pipe is leaking so that they can keep a seawater pipe from flooding the ship. But of course, you can't turn off all the valves because the things that need seawater won't get them. And so our program can take all these pipe diagrams and all these deck plans and where all the people are, and we can run a complete battle damage simulation from soup to nuts, including fire and flooding and just about any other detail you want to add. It's very big, it's very complicated, it's well over 1 million lines of code, and I should know. But again, given how important the people are in these simulations, we have to coordinate hundreds of people. So this is a quick little demo I do at presentations. We're abandoning ship. This is a cruise ship model, and everybody kind of vaguely knows where the lifeboat is. But sometimes when they get to the lifeboat, it's all full up, and so they have to move to the next lifeboat. And all of our little agents can make these decisions because we have given them all the smarts on how would a human in this situation try to deal with it. Fun fact, this particular cruise ship is still sailing today. It's the MV Balmoral. I don't know what cruise line it was with, but when we were scanning in the deck plans, it was still the Norwegian Crown. Now, remember I told you that slideshow was from 2008? It is now 2025. What do you think I've been doing since 2008? Yes, we've been doing even fancier things for even more navies. So, yeah. I'm that graybeard. I have been there. I have done that. Do not speak to me of the deep magic. So, let's change the subject. SublightRPG is the name of the system I'm working on. It started as a novel. It's kind of turning into a writing aid for my novel. And then I'm like, oh, well, this is fun to play. Why don't I make it into a tabletop? And so far, I've made the card deck for the tabletop. You can find it on DriveThruRPG. It's fun to play with. You can actually use it as a way to replace dice rolls in Mythic GM and Ironsworn. It's useful. It's fun. But I've pretty much given more decks away than I've sold. I mean, partly it's procrastination, partly it's writer's block, partly it's I have a day job and a family, and when you're writing, I'm the type of writer who kind of needs to seal myself away in a vault because this is the stuff I come up with. Uh, I mean, I'm trying to make a character system where your character's personality is their magic, and I want to make it so that people can just sit down and feel like, oh, I can just be this character, and I'm trying to combine the horoscope and the Enneagram and those 12 archetypes that always show up in my search now because I've been looking around for Jungian archetypes. But when you try to put the rubber on the road and piece these disparating systems together, I mean, sometimes the ideas line up. Sometimes it's a soft pass. It's just kind of spotty, and sometimes it just does not make sense. And sometimes, what do you do when you get all the way down to the bottom of the puzzle and that last piece won't fit? How do you deal? And that's the neat part. You don't. First off, missing pieces, people love missing pieces. You can still see the picture and you use your imagination to fill in the pieces. And then, as much as I want to get down into the weeds, nobody's going to remember those details. After about 6 days, it's gone. So when game night comes around, nobody's going to sit down and relearn this. And let's face it, I was reading at a college level in 5th grade. My way of explaining things is not the way that normal people understand things. And there's also, I love detail. It's what I do for a living. But there's that kind of, if you just explain that 20%, you kind of get 80% of the point across. Likewise, there's that 80% of the point that covers like that 20% of the bit that nobody cares about. People just want a summary. They want to sit down and just run with it. And only if there was something out there that could just make bullshit summaries for me. So this is Claude.ai. It's one of the popular ones. I just particularly like this one because it doesn't use what I'm feeding into it to feed into it. But what I've done is, for example, I will take the Enneagram. And being a software engineer, I can kind of explain the points I want to get across to the machine because I'm used to doing that. I'm used to explaining to an inanimate object how I want it to do something that pretends to be human. And I always end my my prompts with the following magic words. Condense this information into a form that would be efficient to be added to a future prompt for an AI such as yourself. And it produces this word salad when it's done. If you know how to read Markdown, you get the sense of what points it thought was important. I could wordsmith this to my heart's content, but I'm going for the 20% that gets me 80%. Yeah, that's just you can even see that it even gives itself a little cheat sheet at the bottom of, okay, what's this? What's with this? What's with this? So it's got its own way of remembering things. So, I sat down and I kind of took all the rules that I think we would need for explaining how each of the characters works, and I had it write one of these little summaries for it. And I summarized the Zodiac. I summarized the Mark Pearson archetypes. I summarized the Enneagram. I put a little treatment together for the setting for SublightRPG. I put a little treatment together for how Dungeons and Dragons magic works and how to tie personality to the different magics. And then I can sit down and tell it how I want all of these ingredients to combine to produce something. I am so far behind on this project that I will kind of take anything it feeds me at face value because that's better than the nothing I've been able to explain to people. So what's going on here is the top is the prompt. So that is what I'm asking it to do right now. And on the bottom, I have uploaded like an email attachment, all of those little summaries that I have made of all of these concepts. And then I can ask it to kind of mash these concepts together. And this is what I get back. If I download this, it's just another blob of markdown. But I read it and it passes the smell test. And at this point, we're writing fiction, and fiction's job is to be truer than reality. So, if it passes a resemblance, then I think I'll be happy. So, by the way, this was this is original artwork from a friend of mine named Jackie. I just I just want a wizard for using on slides and stuff, and she was so nice to get that together for me. So, thanks, Jackie. So, once I have taught it what the alchemy of an artist is, so the one we're working right now with is the artist. I had it explain it to me as if Terry Pratchett was explaining it, if I may. So, in my system, an artist is a combination of a Scorpio, a Pearson archetype of the creator, and an Enneagram 4 and 5, which is a pretty heavy conceptual lift in all of that. And again, I was struggling, but this thing, it doesn't have to make sense. It just puts it together. So the artist is the sort of person who believes that true art can only be created in a garret at 3 a.m. while consumed by either passionate love or existential despair, preferably both. They have an uncanny ability to make the visible invisible and the invisible painfully obvious, usually at the most inconvenient moments. Armed with cyan magic that bends reality like a funhouse mirror, the artist spends considerable time perfecting techniques that nobody else understands, and then becomes mysteriously offended when nobody else understands them. They are absolutely convinced that their latest work will either change the world forever or prove conclusively that they are a fraud, and they're never quite sure which outcome terrifies them more. Most artists can be found lurking in the shadows, taking notes on the secret motivations of pigeons, or explaining why their deliberately incomprehensible sculpture actually represents the futility of explaining deliberately incomprehensible sculptures. They have perfected the art of being simultaneously the most important person in the room and completely invisible, which is rather handy when you can literally turn invisible. The artist knows that suffering builds character, which is why they've built enough character to supply a small repertory company. I mean, it's word salad, but it's passable word salad, and I think everybody gets a sense of what I was trying to go for here. And I've been trying to do a little YouTube short for each of my character archetypes, which is how this all started. Maybe there is a resemblance here. Anyhow, so I just asked it to create a 2-minute YouTube that explains this character as a part of a player's guide. So I present to you the artist player guide script in 2 minutes. Welcome back, space colonists. Today, we're diving into one of chromodynamics' most complex archetypes, the artist. If you've ever wanted to play a character who sees the universe as their canvas and reality as merely a suggestion, this is your archetype. I also used Stable Diffusion to put the visuals that they were describing together, so this is kind of fun. The artist combines the passionate intensity of a Scorpio with the creative drive of the archetypical creator. Think brooding genius meets space age Leonardo da Vinci. They're naturally gifted with illusion magic, that's cyan colored spells, that manipulate perception, create disguises, and bend reality to their artistic vision. Your artist character is driven by one burning question: how can I create something truly meaningful? They fear mediocrity above all else, and they're also terrified of being exposed as incompetent. This creates a fascinating internal tension for role play. In game terms, the artist excels at illusion magic for infiltration, deception, and dramatic reveals. Deep research and investigation, they need to understand their craft. Creating lasting works that impact the story world. Social situations where mystery and intrigue matter. Your weakness? Decision paralysis when perfectionism kicks in, and tendency to work alone when the team needs you most. Remember, your character sees failure as worse than death, so every creative choice feels life or death important. For roleplay gold, embrace the contradiction. You're confident in your vision, but insecure in your abilities. Ask yourself, what would make this moment more artistically perfect? Maybe you insist on dramatic lighting before important conversations, or you see symbolic meaning in random events. Your character might spend hours perfecting a spell's visual effects, even when efficiency matters more. And remember, your art isn't magic. It's how you see everything. Combat is choreography, negotiations as performance, exploration as composition. The artist brings depth, mystery, and creative problem solving to any party. Whether you're crafting illusions to infiltrate Krasnovian facilities or turning space salvage into meaningful sculpture, you'll transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. Ready to paint the cosmos? Subscribe for more chromodynamics guides and let us know your artist stories in the comments below. That was pretty good. I mean, I did most of the heavy lifting by organizing it, but as far as assembling the final piece, I think I've actually found like a legit use for LLMs that I wouldn't have thought to use them for before. Now, there is an elephant in the room, and that's what to do about copyright. Now, the Copyright Office has a very quirky set of rules. So, there are a whole bunch of legal cases that go back to the dawn of the Republic that deal with, well, what is a copyrighted work? And the general assumption is that to be copyrightable, it has to be made by a person. And thus, no matter how smart an AI is, its output cannot be copyrighted. The same as if you had a machine that made 3D printed coffee cups. I couldn't copyright the fact that this is a 3D printed coffee cup. I could copyright the fact that I made all the schematics for that coffee cup, because that's what I did. But what comes out of the 3D printer is not itself copyrightable. But what's really neat is, because taking the output from an AI means I can't copyright it, nobody else can either. Now, if a human substantially transforms the output of an AI, then it can be copyrighted. So if you paraphrase it, create an original presentation based off of its outputs, perform, then that becomes copyrightable. Just like any other work, including other copyrighted works. There's the whole fair use thing, won't get into. But basically, I don't have to worry about copyright because I can't copyright it in the first place. So my spinny brain has come up with an idea. Well, what if I have two different products? One we'll call the open source edition, and the other is the starving artist edition. So the open source edition will be a series of these pre-baked prompts that you can drop in and either ask a question about, or have it generate a setting, or if you're really good at this prompting stuff, even run a campaign, or at least act as characters in that campaign. And this will all be artwork summaries and stuff that is generated by AI, and I can't copyright it anyway. And I can have that stuff posted to my blog. I can put it on a GitHub. I prefer Fossil over GitHub, but that's just professional stuff. And yeah, we could turn this into a real tool to basically turn all these chatbots into an entertainment device. Yes. Yes, the ultimate dig. Turning AI into literally a toy and proving that it's the only thing it's good at. Now, the Starving Artist edition will be 100% produced by human beings. The art, the text, the everything will get a legit publisher, and this would be like, you go down to Barnes and Nobles and it's there on the game shelf or at your local game store. But that kind of requires money and artists and writers, and that's still years down the road, or hopefully years down the road, although hey. So we'll get the open source edition out first. I've already posted stuff to my blog, so you guys can follow that. I'll have the link in the description. The support the artist is kind of a pipe dream, but honestly, if you guys blow up my comment section, I will totally get the ball rolling on that. So if you are interested in toying with some of the stuff I've made so far, I do have the deck posted to SublightRPG, and I also have a bunch of stuff that I 3D print on my Etsy. All the coffee cups you see, they're dishwasher and microwave safe. It's actually a process I discuss in the other videos on this channel. And thank you so much for watching. If you want to learn more, I have an SublightRPG Reddit going. I have the blog where I post my long form ideas that I think I'm the only person who reads them. And then, of course, there's this channel, Evil Twin Skippy. Thank you, and I will catch you all later.